What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 24 of the Parlor Talk. So we're back here again. We're doing a special live series for our setups and just trying to change up the scenery. We're live from Teak Restaurant, the rooftop actually, at Teak in Red Bank, New Jersey. Really good friends of ours of the Class Kills team. Shout out to Teak. They are doing takeout food from 3 to 8 o'clock Tuesdays through Saturdays. And they have some of their top food items are available, and they're doing takeout. You can order online or call in, and you can go right up to, you come right up to the door. They drop it out there for you, and it's fast, it's good. The food is on point. I just had dinner, and it was awesome.
Also on Uber Eats and one of the
Grubhub?
other ones.
Uber Eats, Grubhub,
Yeah.
DoorDash maybe?
No, DoorDash and Uber Eats, not Grubhub.
Not Grubhub. Yeah, so check them out. Teague Rooftop, Red Bank, New Jersey, close friends and partners of ours, and we're excited to have it. So episode 24, we have a really special edition. Tonight, we are talking about how you, the people that are watching, can basically hack the DJ and get a really good understanding and a better deal on when you're booking your wedding. So if you are, a couple that's engaged, if you guys are looking for wedding entertainment, tonight's people that we got on here, Giacomo Beats and my man Subers, DJ Scooby-Doo, two awesome wedding professionals. They do hundreds of events a year, and they're going to tell you guys, the people that are watching, just some tips and tricks about when you're sitting down talking to wedding DJs and you're shopping around the industry, just some things that you should know as a client and how that'll help you get a better deal. And we're also definitely going to talk about how you, the people that are watching, could be a better client yourself. So it's going to be a really informational episode, and I'm pretty excited about it. So, kind of just gave a soft intro there, but I want to shout out Giacomo Beats, my man Subes, Scooby-Doo. How you guys doing, boys?
What up? What up?
What's up, fellas? How we doing tonight?
Good. Well, welcome to the Parlor Talk. We're super excited to have you guys. Why don't you just kick it off here with just a quick little intro for people that don't know you guys personally, and then we could talk a little bit about the company.
Sure. My name is Jan, also known as Mr. Giacomo Beats from my former club and bar life. I actually changed my name on Facebook to be Giacomo Beats back in like 2009, and literally half my friends just call me Giacomo now, which is pretty funny. Me and Ryan are two of the partners at JB Pro Live. We're a wedding company mostly in Asbury Park, but we also have an office in Hillsborough. And we like to take live events and private parties to the next level, bring that club life and feel to the dance floor at a venue near you.
All right. Thanks, Mr. Jan. What's up, guys? I'm Ryan Subers, Subi Doobs, one of the partners at JB. Like Jan said, been doing this stuff a long time in the wedding industry. I play with the Class Kills boys over at DJs together.
Woo woo.
Can't wait to be back. But
There we go.
Uh-oh, someone's got the soundboard ready.
Love it.
but
The work in progress.
yeah, we'll work it out. Working out the kinks. But yeah, looking forward to talking some shop with you guys. Anybody in the comments, ask away questions, and we'll kind of guide you through what we feel is the best tips on how to really get the most out of your wedding.
Yeah, that's dope. Jan, do me a favor. Turn up your mic a little bit. Subes, you're good. So, all right. So the theme of today's episode, like I said, we're going to talk a little bit about some hacks that you, the client, can talk to DJs like us and Ryan and Jan about when you're sitting down shopping for wedding entertainment. Just things that you, the client, can go in with just a better mind and just ask some better questions. I think overall. I mean, so the company that they run, JB Pro Live, based in Asbury, like they said, they do hundreds of events, primarily weddings, and these two guys rock it, man. I've seen them personally. They are close personal friends. I've seen them perform. Excellent guys. So a lot of really good knowledge here, and we're just excited to have you guys on and kind of like debunk this whole thing with, because a lot of clients come to the table, they don't even know really what they're looking for. So, let's just like kick it off in general. Like, I think we just get this first one right out of the fucking way is like the first person, I know the first thing they always ask is, what's the price, right? Tell me that's not the first thing that comes out of their mouth or it's in their email every time, right?
Yeah. A lot of people are price shopping, and sorry, my mic's all messed up.
You're good.
Yeah, a lot of people are price shopping, but we try to knock them out of that side of their brain right from the get-go, and just kind of let them know they're not renting equipment. You're looking for talent for your day. Like, anyone can go out and rent speakers and an iPad and hook it up to some speakers at a venue and play music. But ultimately, that's not what's going to get people dancing at their party. So we try to be different than that. We both have the club nightlife background, so we try to bring that level of energy to the party. And we encourage them to check out our social media pages, our website, our reviews, and kind of see how we might be different than other companies. We try to be the guys like you'd want to hang out with outside of your wedding. Just be real.
People, personality is so big. You joining someone's family for a day, I like to say. You have to have some sort of connection almost. It's not just like, hey, what's up, guys? I'll be your DJ. I'll talk to you. I'll see you for a couple hours, play music. We're talking to them for years, sometimes 2 years. When people just try to do the price shop and then they barely meet their DJ, I feel like it's a lot harder to really get the feel for their family, for the vibe they want. What you're really trying to bring that whole thing together. It's just so much more than just the price.
Yeah, I love that, and I think that's a good approach. So I think the tip and the takeaway there for anyone that's interested is like, there's so many other dynamics, and we have 7 other different areas that we're going to touch on tonight when you're considering working and hiring a DJ. I know Chris is an expert in this. We'll talk a little bit about like setups, Chris, and then maybe we could dive in with you guys about how you talk about the setups for weddings and kind of position that.
Right.
Like some of the things like you're talking about, like video walls, bringing in CO2, confetti, dry ice for effect, some things like that.
Yeah, we could talk about that, and like also just like unrealistic expectations around like, hey, we want to put you in the corner and it's 50 feet away from the DJ booth.
Oh, that's always fun.
Those are great.
Yeah, so maybe you guys could talk about some experience with that, and if you could, what would you tell someone not to do?
So I'll go first, then Ryan, you could go. During our initial consultation, we talk about their venue, potential floor plans, how many guests they're going to have, and that gives us a good idea of the scale of their party. And we've been to so many venues now, we're familiar with what setups work and make sense, in different places and what you need. Some venues have lighting built in, some places have sound built in, where you could potentially get away with the DJ a little bit off to the side. But of course, this is spoiler alert. You always want the DJ near the dance floor. You wouldn't believe how many people try to put the DJ just way, way out of the way behind grandma's table.
Yep, in the corner, and then they're like, "Hey, can you put an extra speaker over by the people?"
Yeah, or you get the tables in front of you is just complaining, and you're like, you can't win in that situation. And it puts you at a disadvantage. And, some people won't enjoy their night if they're sitting right in front of our setup, as much as we can do. And you can't interact with the people when you're across the room 150 yards. Weddings are a little different. They are hiring you. You have to have presence. You have to be there.
So we started actually asking for floor plans about 30 days out so that we can mitigate any problems beforehand. Because the last thing you want to do is be arguing with their maitre d' or wedding coordinator the day of, and they have to go talk to the bride and groom, then come back to you. So a lot of this is just planning, and asking the right questions and getting on the same page beforehand. So we're trying to get better
and
at that.
I like that. I think that's a really good tip because I do weddings as well as Chris does them too, and I have been to some scenarios where I almost cannot believe it because I'm sitting there pointing to an email from 2 months beforehand that's between me and the bride, but they forgot to loop in like the maitre d' and the event planner and the stilt walker and the flower person and the candelabra person and the person that's bringing the sheeps and the doves and like you just go down the list, right? And you show up and we're like, I would say DJs in general, are a critical factor. Aside from the place being open and the food getting served, the music I think is equally as important. So Yeah, I'm with you, and just out there to all the clients, just kind of taking some points from Jan and Ryan here around just open communication. Whatever your vision or plan is, that's cool. We're here to listen and make it happen, but don't like last minute changes are not great, and not communicating to everyone involved with where the DJ is going to set up. You're setting yourself up for failure and undue stress during the day.
Yeah, which is a reason why they have wedding planners and coordinators. That if you're not a super organized bride, and you have big shows, a lot of acts, live acts going on, maybe you should consider getting a wedding coordinator. They have wedding planners can do just day of. They can do 6 months out. There's so many different packages that they have. Sometimes you just need a good day of person because depending on the venue, their day of guy can suck. You know, like I'm not going to call any venues out, but they're out there.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and sometimes I think what Jan's referring to is like the venue will include it in their package that, oh, yeah, we have a day of person. You don't need another person. And I completely disagree because the ones that do the day of planning are usually the best at it. Ryan, what's your experience with that?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I just think most clients, the way this goes right is tell us what you want. Don't think that just because we look good on Instagram and we do, I think we do a great job, but just because you see that from before, you have to tell us. And then when we have everything, then that day of person is so much more useful. When we have all the information and we can hit on the timelines, we can hit on everything. If we have to make a change, it's not a big deal at all. It really isn't, because you're so organized. And when you walk in the venue, you have a 2-minute conversation. You know what's going to happen from us being there at 3 o'clock till midnight.
Pizza's done.
My dryer. I'm turning it off.
Someone at the door.
Oh man, that's funny. So just like some just really good takeaways for clients, brides, and grooms, people that are kind of just curious about having a particular setup or they have a lot of pieces moving on in the room. Just communication. I think that's the best way to do it. And Jan, you brought up a really good point about really consider and take a look at people that are day of coordinators to help organize some of the, I'll call it chaos, but organizing each of these pieces that are really important to you. But
200, 300, 400 person weddings, sometimes you just need an extra person, and these people bring a team.
Yeah.
There to reduce stress. And one tip I have for, DJs out there that are working with wedding planners and coordinators beforehand is have some meetings with them with the bride or groom off the call and just get on the same page with them. That way there's no surprises when you're doing calls with the bride. Like you don't want the coordinator saying one thing and you're thinking another. Be like, listen, a lot of times I've had to pull wedding planners aside, be like, listen, Jessica wants to dance.
Yeah.
Now,
so crazy to think you have to say that.
If she wants to dance, what we should probably do is, group the formalities together in the beginning to dance time. Like we don't need to do mom and dad toast 2 hours later when they're drunk and don't look good. A lot of times planners will try to. I sound like I'm hating on planners now, but
yeah,
listen, just get the right one. That's all I'm saying. But a lot of planners are all about the Instagram pictures. Like they just want the silverware to look good, the flowers and all that stuff. And they want to, have a nice dinner party. But, be honest with your planner, pick the right one, let them know your vision, make sure it's the same vision you told your DJ, and, pick the appropriate venue as well. Sometimes the biggest dance floor aren't the answer for the best party. Actually, they're never the right answer. Big dance floors don't equal big party. They actually equal a worse party. That's the biggest misconception we see brides having.
Right.
A venue with a gigantic dance floor with 120 people and think it's going to be packed. But if you think about the psychology of dancing, people want to be close to other people. It's better that the dance floor is a little small than a little big. And then I'm sure, like, you guys could back me up on this.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. I think it's important to have an intimate dance floor. I'm not sure if we're going to see intimate dance floors for a few years. after what's going on right now, but I think it is
You
important.
got to do helicopters.
Yeah, we're
That's
gonna have
the type of dancing you could do.
6-foot spacing on dance floors now, so that's gonna be the new norm.
Yeah,
But
can't wait.
I guess the big dance floor might come in handy finally.
yeah, social distancing aside, 100% agree. An intimate dance floor is definitely the way to go with a wedding, especially.
So you, Jen, you were diving into some really good stuff that I like to talk about is like the timeline of events. And I think, so we're going to talk from DJ perspective, and then Ryan, I want you to dive into kind of how you walk people through it. But I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I talk to the bride and groom and I get a timeline. I get a timeline that's different from the event planner. I get a timeline that's different from the photographer. I get a different one from the videographer, and then I get one that's completely different from the maitre d' when you arrive. So, Ryan, maybe you could talk a little bit about how you kind of take the lead on that and making sure that everyone's kind of synced up on when we're doing what.
I mean, I think the best thing we ever did, I mean, we're going years back, but we have a back-end planning site. So they log in, they have their own name, everything's there, all the questions we need to know. And I will forward that timeline to venues. I mean, most of the time, we've been doing it so long, and you guys too, you start to know these venues and the people that work there. So you have their email, shoot them an email. Hey, this is the timeline beforehand. An email on Wednesday, the week of a wedding, to a maitre d' could make 35 things go smoother the whole day. You have to stay in contact. Communication is the biggest part of the planning. You can't get lazy on it. You can't let our job is to push the bride to make sure we know every detail. And then when she's getting to her wedding, she knows everything and she can calm down instead of asking 1,000 questions a day because everything you touched on all the good points already.
Yeah. That's a really good point. And I think the takeaway there for anyone that's a client that's watching is, definitely ask the DJ. Like, if a priority of yours is dancing, you probably want the DJ involved in helping you pick out when you're gonna dance, right, and when you're gonna do that stuff. And Jan, you made a good point about trying to play the quarterback there and tell people like, hey, we do this every weekend at all these other venues. You only know about your venue. Have you tried doing it this way?
Yeah.
And I always tell my clients this is like, let's not forget bride and groom X and Y. You're paying the venue. They don't tell you what to do. You tell them when you want to do what you want to do. And they need to own that shit, because sometimes I'll tell you straight up, and you know this, and both of you guys being in the wedding industry, and Chris knows this, is sometimes those maitre d's and those people that book those events are absolute raptors, and they body up the clients straight up. And look, I've been yelled at because my tie is crooked, and because our setup, maybe there's a wire that isn't taped down, or go through the list of like really bad ones. But for every bad one, there's a good one, right? And I don't want to we're not going to get into that venue specific type stuff. But I always remind my clients like, hey, you're the one writing the check to the venue, and you need to dictate to them what you want to do. Is it dancing, drinking, eating, sparklers? Go down the list, man. But that's kind of like what I like to do, and I'm sure that's valuable for some people out there.
Absolutely.
Events go so fast.
I was going to say, I think another thing kind of bouncing off of that is making sure if you're going with a place that has on-premises food that there's an organized kitchen for sure, because timing and delays with the kitchen can totally throw up your schedule. So making sure that, they have a sufficient kitchen and they have, high quality chefs and a good staff for putting out food. I think that's also really important, because I have seen that throw weddings off more than anything else is the food just getting screwed up on timing.
Chris, you're dead spot on. And that's why you could see if you're ever watching Jan and I work at a wedding, we're talking to that maitre d' when that food's coming out. And if I'm not turning the music off until I see a plate coming out, because you lose that time. It's so sometimes if they are like, sit them down, and then something happens, you get a 15-minute delay. It could be a 4-hour wedding. You can't lose that 15 minutes. That could be so many memories made in that 15 minutes of them dancing rather than sitting there.
Yeah, the time's very valuable, and I think sometimes the venues they forget that. So I think it's really important to just make sure that you're picking the right venues, and talk to DJs when you're looking to book for your wedding. Talk to different companies and ask them questions about the venue, because chances are you talk to 5 different companies, there's probably not a single venue out of 5 different big wedding DJs in this area that one of the 5 hasn't touched. So I think getting that feedback in both directions is really important.
I got a good one.
Oh,
This is something that a lot of people forget about, and I started bringing it up in my finals meetings about the speeches and toasts. If you don't give time limits to your best man, maid of honor, or your dad, they could just destroy your wedding by having a 45-minute toast. That's your whole first dance set. So I say, listen, this is how much time usually there is before dinner. We only got 20, 30 minutes of dancing, best case scenario. If those toasts and speeches are 20, 30 minutes, there's no dancing before dinner. Now your total dance time is down to an hour and a half. So, give those time limits out, and people still go over the time limits,
Yeah.
but at least now, but the maid of honor, best man want those time limits. Honestly, they want to know their scope of work. They don't realize how long they're out there, so they can time themselves, adjust their speech. And our job as DJs and even wedding planners should know this too, is to educate the bride on this. It's their first wedding. They're not even thinking about that. So they need to tell their best man, maid of honor, or parent that, this ain't your day. You can't be up there for an hour.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think unless you're, best man's like Kevin Hart and he's going to be cracking jokes for 30 minutes, I don't think anyone wants to listen to someone talk for 30 minutes.
You should have seen Jan's best man speech. One of the craziest things I've ever done. I was DJing. He had about 40 songs to play. It was really crazy.
It was a performance.
I love that. No, that's cool, and that's invaluable feedback for anyone that's like in the planning stages or looking to do it. Or those speeches can really take the mood up, take the mood down, or could be good or bad. I've seen them, everything in between, as you guys have for sure. The next part that I really wanted to dive into, which comes up a lot, is talking about extras. And when we talk extras, I think of that as something above and beyond, like lighting, sound, and the actual talent. So that could be like CO2, robots, maybe it's wireless uplighting, a photo booth, any type of like extra enhancement to kind of like jazz up the party. Like I've seen like drummers and saxophone players and belly dancers, and go down the list of how opulent you want to go. But maybe Ryan and Jan, if you want to just talk a little bit about like what people should know about some of those extras and what to expect.
Sure. Yeah, I'll go first. Then Ryan, you go. This just comes down to what their vision is during the consultation and factoring in the limitations of the venue. And, we don't touch a lot on budget in the consultation. I feel like that's more of a personal thing for them. That's something they can discuss with their parents or their wedding coordinator. But we try to get a feel for their budget, but more so the vision. So what's important to you? Is live music important to you? Sometimes clients will come to us and they'll say, my dad really wants a band, but I want a DJ. So we'll say, all right, well, maybe you could have both. You could do a full live band and a DJ setup, or you could do an acoustic trio that plays during cocktail hour and dinner, so dad's happy. And then for the fun dance sets, you could have the DJ, and they're like, oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. So, it's just really listening to them.
A fun DJ like DJ Scooby-Doo, right?
Yeah. Exactly. And then the other stuff is just comes with experience. What venues need certain things. Some venues have lighting built in, but I always say, oh, that's great. They have uplighting. Guess what? It's going to be one color all night, unless they have a light tech there working all night. And guess what? Is the light tech a busboy that just sitting there with an iPad, or is he an actual light tech who knows what he's doing, who's going to be on it, working it, matching the energy of the music to the energy of the lights? Like I know we're going to do that, but is the venue going to do that? And some people are like, oh, yeah, it was free, but, I really want the lighting to match the music. So, we get some sales from that.
Oh, that's a good point. Ryan, talk a little bit about the CO2 and the robots, because I know you guys do a little bit of that.
Who doesn't love CO2? It's like,
amen.
As soon as you get that in their hand, even if the bride's not nuts about it, and then when they do it at their wedding, they're like, I'm so happy you told me to use that. I mean, they look like flamethrowers. They're awesome. Obviously, you got to take safety precautions with all that stuff, and you got to check on every venue now because a lot of things are outlawed. They don't let you use it, even if, I mean, our sparklers, stuff like that. Those were so expensive. I took fire courses, and you have to make sure you don't have the knockoff ones. You have to make sure the venue's okay with it. Now you have to go to the fire departments even to get this really cool add-on. You have to check everything off because the worst thing that's ever happened is you get to a venue and the bride thinks everything's going to go one way, and they're like, you can't bring that in the building.
Crazy. And let's just pause there because you're talking about sparklers, which are in fact the. Well, no. Let's be specific here. These are non-fire, sparkler effects. It's not even real fire, right?
No, it's not.
It's like a cold spark.
Cold spark.
Cold spark technology is exactly what it is, Chris.
Yeah.
And it's unbelievable that they make you go to the fire department to talk about a non-flammable
Exactly.
effect, which is like really crazy. But that's a really good point. Like it just in terms of some of those extras that you guys see in terms of dancing on the clouds, cold sparklers, CO2, some of those really dope enhancements. Definitely check if you're a client. Make sure those are in your checklist of, hey, can I do this at my venue?
Yep.
Because again, I've been on both sides of it. Where they see you walk in with the CO2 tanks and they go, whoa, what are those, right?
Yeah, missiles.
The other thing I think, kind of bouncing off of that, is make sure when you're hiring your photographer and your videographer, which isn't really the focus of this episode, make sure that they have experience shooting those types of effects, because the last thing you want is to spend all this money on a CO2 effect or dry ice effect on the dance floor, and your photographer is someone who just graduated out of photography school and they've never shot a wedding with that kind of effect before, and they don't really get the photos that you expected. So I think that's something that's also really important, and I've seen people be disappointed in before, because shooting those effects is something that takes a lot of skill and a lot of practice.
And just to jump in on that, I think it's our job as entertainment coordinators to have a little huddle with all the vendors and let them know what effects you got. They might not see the CO2. They might not see your dry ice machine until it's actually going off and it's too late. And we even go as far as pulling the maitre d' aside, being, listen, we got dry ice. Turn the HVAC system off during the first dances. And they're like, oh, okay. I didn't realize there was a duct above the dance floor that's going to shoot the dry ice out, away from the bride and groom the whole time. Or maybe there's doors you have to close or windows you have to close. So you got to hire the right company that has the experience to pull these effects off. Because again, you're not hiring an equipment rental company. You're hiring people that need to know how to bring your vision to life correctly. Like anyone can buy sparklers or dry ice. Doesn't mean you know how to use it. Do you know how to break up the dry ice correctly and the right amount of water versus ice ratio? It's like we had to become biochemists over the last 5 years.
Just to do a wedding.
No,
I just want to play music. Like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah,
but
it's important.
Be the best in the industry. That's what you have to do.
Yeah.
That's like some killer stuff. I had an experience with a snow machine.
Those are terrible.
Yeah. Okay, so they're like, this is the most important part, is that we get our first dance with the snow, right? And I'm like, okay, cool. So we get to the venue. Of course, the floors are marble. And when the snow falls, it's an ice skating rink. No pun intended. It's like legit.
Soap.
It's like legit soap. So anyone that wants the snow effect, I'm sure there may be other snow options out there. Like the ones that I've seen make the best effect are like kind of sudsy. So basically, like to your point, Jan, I was in the back with the maitre d'. I'm like, look, they paid for it. We're going to do this one time. I need every busboy with rags. And as soon as they get done with their first dance, you got to wipe the floor down because someone's going to break an ankle. I was lucky, and I was just lucky. It worked out really well, and the venue was flexible. But definitely for people that are like looking for that snow effect, like either research the options or definitely have an in-depth conversation with your venue about it.
There are way better effects than that one.
If you've ever seen Scooby-Doo dual-wheeled CO2 cannons from behind the booth, you're missing out. Boom, boom, baby. Yo, talk about the. Can you guys talk about the robots? I'm not super like in tune with how it works. But
Oh, they're
like,
fun.
like, what does that up? Like, what does that add-on look like?
That's my Uncle Jess Balance in New Jersey. We just dress them up with some Christmas lights.
I thought it was you in there actually.
Fitting that since Vietnam. But yeah, no, it's a company we work with in at a Cedar Grove, New Jersey, and it's literally all they do. So, and they're probably the best in the state. And these robot packages, they range from $1,000 to $2,000. Depending on how many performers you want. It's 45 minutes usually. Anything more than that's overkill. And we always try to push it towards. You want this to be the last thing of the night. This isn't something you'd want to open the party with. People need to be drunk and a little bit blind to be a part of this. But it's just a nice way to end the wedding, and it's a surprise for the guests. They don't know what's coming. Like, you think cake's coming out, and then a 10-foot robot with CO2 and lasers walks through the door. It's pretty exciting.
No, that's a cool vibe, and I've seen it, experienced it. Definitely interesting, but it's a cool upgrade, and I think some people should like explore that if they're looking for something a little bit different or over the top.
It's something you used to only see at like a Tiesto concert.
Right. And now it's at weddings.
Yeah,
I know. Somehow it went from Tiesto concert in 2009 to weddings today.
Yeah. It's really cool. You got to have the right crowd for it. You got to know. But that's our job. When we're educating everyone on trying to go through our slideshow in our office, I'm like, listen, I tell everyone before, I'm like, we have all these stuff. Pay attention to what I'm saying. I was like, but if you don't want something, it's not you. Just tell me. I'm not trying to push stuff on you.
Yeah.
They have to pay attention.
No, that's a good sales a sales tactic, I think, is to make sure that they're not getting like pushed into anything. But real quick, just we're gonna take a quick breather here. Everyone that's logged in right now, if you guys are on the Facebook or on the YouTube or on the Twitch, drop questions in the comments right here. We're kind of having this is an open discussion. We want to hear from everyone that's logged in. What do you guys think? What are some things that you'd like to ask a professional wedding DJ company like Jan and Ryan here from JB Pro Live? So we're watching all the comments. Anyone that has any questions or anything that you guys would like to know, we're here to answer, and we want to have a kind of a dynamic discussion. Like, what are the people kind of thinking about? I think that's important. So, but I know one of the big ones is always like music requests. Do you take them? And how do you guys work on like the music request sheet with people?
Jan, we can't hear you, bud.
Mic's
muted?
off.
What about now?
Good.
I got you.
Back?
Back.
Hey, real quick, Jan, before you start, I just want to shout out to all the JB guys in the chat. Thanks for watching, and happy birthday to our very own photo booth master, Mr. Colin. All right, go ahead.
All right. Happy birthday, Colin.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, so we try to keep it simple with our program online. It's something that we recommend they don't even look at until they have all their invitations back. Who's coming to the wedding? You don't even know that. So there's no reason to stress them out early about it. We send them out automated emails 60 days out, 30 days out, and we try to do finals around 2 weeks out once the dust is settled on all their decisions with everything going on that day. And the way we structure it is just introductions. Everything's front loaded usually. Introductions, first dances, toast in the beginning. And then at the bottom is must plays and do not plays. And we look at that as like the field goal posts for the playing field. So we know we can play in between that. We tell them to give us 3 to 5 songs from every genre of music they like. So that gives us, and we say their top 3, like, don't give me stuff you're indifferent about. We don't care about things you're indifferent about. We want to know the stuff you love. So once we have those songs, we know that the bride and groom are passionate about these songs, and that it's potentially a domino effect. If the bride and groom are dancing and they're having fun, their friends and family are going to join in and have fun. And I said, we always say, like, leave it to us when to play the different types of music that you have. We're going to read the crowd, play more of what's working, less of what's not. And then the do not plays, we'll just avoid them altogether. So once we know all that stuff, we look for 20, 25 must plays, and then a couple do not plays, and then we're good to go.
Yeah, so Ryan, how do you kind of handle when people you know, Aunt Sally comes up and she requests a track. You know, how do you handle that?
All right. It can get very, I don't know how to explain it. Yeah, I mean, you guys know that feeling when you really like, when a lot of our bride and grooms say no request off the bat. Don't take any requests unless I literally tell you it's okay. And a lot of times these guests are, you know, a little drunk, and that's part of our job. You got to be able to handle these people. And they come up and then they go back and grab the bride to get this song played. It's like, I think this needs to go out to all wedding guests. It's not your wedding. Just have fun. Enjoy. We went over all this. We planned this. Like, and you just got to know your bride and groom too. Ask that question. Do you want guests to request songs before the wedding? So I'll write that right on my program, put it in the notes, and then I know. And some people want everyone to request whatever. And I tell people, listen, that could really throw off your vibe if you want me to be playing these requests right away. You know, you guys know you can't do that.
So, like, my must plays would be Booyah, Calling, and Levels. Do you think that you'd be able to play that wedding?
I think I can handle that one.
No, I think that's incredible feedback for some people because there's, if we talk about one end of the spectrum being super hyper organized Excel sheet, 600 songs, and you're like, that's a joke. You dance for 2 hours, right? I can't possibly fit all that in. And then on the other end, they're just like, yeah, just do whatever you want. And you're like, no. I'm not here to try to figure out that day what you like and what you do not like. So I think that's like really good guidance and some good feedback around. Like the takeaway I think for clients is if your DJ isn't asking you about music or it's not a topic of discussion when just at least in the preliminary stages, definitely, I would take that as hey, ask about it and definitely make that as an evaluation criteria. Chris, how do you handle requests at events?
Are we talking privates here?
I mean, we're talking about a guy that I've seen wear a shirt that says no requests. What does the shirt say?
It says the request DJ is up next. That's what the shirt says.
Ooh, I like that one.
So contractually in his in his clause it says he can't take requests.
No requests.
No, that's funny. Yeah, definitely have had some interesting requests. Now let me ask you this: do you guys both MC or both DJ or do both, or primarily one or the other?
We do. We DJ most of the time now. We have some great MCs: Kenny Mack, Charlie Cavallo,
Boom.
Andy Chapes,
Boom.
105.7 The Hawk, radio host. Our buddy Tim. He's out in Texas. He's Fox 5 News host on 6 o'clock News in West
Boom.
Texas. He works with us. But I've MC'd probably 400 or 500 weddings in my life, so I've done a ton. But at this point, I feel Jan and I are so good behind the booth with like lighting and
right.
And Yanni does both as well, our other partner.
Dope.
It's just you got to put your best people where they're the most valuable for that day.
Yeah, it's usually one main guy to be the event host to manage the event, and then they build their team from there. So depending on who that guy is, he might need a DJ, or if that guy can do both, he might just need an assistant. Depends on the client and the venue and the wedding and all that, all the above.
That's pretty good. That's good. So I think that's important that you sell your team too, right? Like you got to talk about how like I might be the guy that's playing the music, but there's also the host, and here's my lighting guy, and here's the team around me that helps make the day happen. Because the reality is, it's just not one guy can do it. At least the level of production that is expected in the Monmouth County, North Jersey area, right?
Right on.
Spot on. I mean, when people, I think the biggest problem is people get promised all these crazy things that are going to happen, and they wonder why this quote's so low, and it's because one guy is going to be trying to do back hamstrings, and that's when your mistakes come, and that's when the things happen. You can't be understaffed, and you have to teach. You have to expect everyone to be. We're blessed. We have the best staff. Like our guys are awesome, man, and everyone that's worked for us or works with us is just does what that we ask, and we treat them right. You guys understand? I mean, this business, people don't necessarily treat everybody right between venues, clubs, bars, anything. So you really got to staff right, and you got to put the time in to teach people that want to learn. Teach them everything. So if something happens, God forbid there's a death in a family, there has to be a next guy up. You can't just be one guy and expect to stand on your head if something happens.
I've been asked that a couple times about like, well, what happens if you break your leg, or what happens if you get sick that day? What happens? I'm like, well, the chances are that like if it's a high-end production wedding, the 2 or 3 guys or 4 guys that are with me can either talk on a microphone or play music. I'm like, so by default, most of the guys could get through the wedding if they had to. And also working with a company like JB or with the Class Kills guys or whatever the case may be, like our networks are so big that, you know, we always joke, like I have like 400 DJs in my phone, but that's not a joke. It's legit. My book is huge. And just like you guys, like as you meet people and the network grows, you know, I think that's important because if it's, you know, crazy Uncle Larry who used to DJ in the 80s and he's going to DJ for $500, like, yeah, that's a great deal and everything. But the risk that you're putting, you know, not only for the entertainment piece, but the, you know, all the things that can go wrong, you know, putting all your eggs in one basket is definitely not a strategy.
No. And like the company you hire is like fun insurance. So you got to look at it like that. Like, what do you want to pay to guarantee your wedding's fun? Think about what you're paying for everything else. You know, you're spending thousands and thousands of dollars on the venue every time. Like these venues are $30,000 to $130,000. Like, what's the point of all that if the party's not fun, or if like your DJ doesn't show up?
Yeah.
Who cares about the $500 he saved? You,
Right.
he lost 100,000.
Right. That's a good point. And you know, people remember 2 things from the wedding, and it's the food and the music. Did you dance, and was the food good? They don't give a fuck about how cool your donut wall was. They don't care that you had 7,000 rose petals at your ceremony. Like, they don't care.
They don't remember the color of the flowers. Sorry, Chelsea.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, it's ridiculous. But that's a really good point, is like, look at it in perspective to what you're spending on everything else. Like, people don't even blip at an $8,000 photographer. But if I told them that I was an $8,000 DJ, it would be like, oh my God, that's so expensive.
I know, we're the cheapest, most important thing for every party.
That's what it feels like. That's
Yeah.
what it feels like.
100%. It's just got to show your value, and you got to make that client comfortable. I think that's the biggest thing.
And, you know, other DJs out there, you know your worth. Like, there's no reason to cut your arm off for events. If you're worth a certain amount, you know, just work with higher end clientele. There's no reason to drop your price to get every single event. Like, if you hold up a higher price, first of all, you need to deliver a higher level of service. You can't just be like, I'm 10 grand, and then you don't call them until the day of the wedding or the
Right.
day of the party.
Yep.
You know, bring in that customer service to justify that price, because their expectations are going to be just as high as your price too. So, you know, don't get it twisted. If you have a high price, you need to, you know, show up on game day.
Yeah, that's a really good point about that. I always said, like, and this is just in general, this is more for like industry people rather than a client focused discussion. But if you don't have people saying no, you're not charging enough.
That's a good point.
Straight up,
My friend.
recalibrate your life, dude. If everyone says yes every time, you have a problem, because that means you're undervaluing yourself. So the fact that you have leads, I think, is positive. But you know, just don't. You know, it took me a little bit of a while to figure it out too. Like, and I think people kind of go through that as being a single op, myself personally. But you know, that was like some good advice that a friend of mine gave me a long time ago. So just a takeaway.
And I think it's important too, because if you're saying yes to every wedding, you're eventually going to burn yourself out, because you're probably working a ridiculous amount. So you need to like kind of price yourself for both of those reasons. 1, so that way you don't burn yourself out and you could space out your weddings. And 2, so that way you're not taking everything. You're only taking the events on that you really like jive with. So those people that you really, you know, get along with well, you know their events are going to go well, because they didn't pick you because you were the cheapest. They picked you because your personalities meshed well together, and they feel like you're going to bring the best party for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was like really well said. And I think like just the feedback for clients, for people that are listening that are like, all right, well, what do they really mean by this? I would say this. In general, if you're shopping for wedding entertainment in New Jersey, there are some key questions you could take out of everything we talked about in the first 45 minutes. But when it comes down to the price discussion, it's really, I think you got to figure out like the value to price ratio, and I would say dollar value doesn't always equate to the person that's going to make everyone dance. And I think you got to go through this checklist, which probably now after 45 minutes is fairly extensive, but these are all the questions you got to ask, because think about all the things we talked about that we ask you to try to figure out if we want you to be our client, because it works both ways. But I would definitely say, like, if, and I don't talk money. I don't like to talk money or dollars here. So I don't think I'm not even going to put a dollar figure in anyone's head, because it all depends on where people are in their business, and we're not here to talk about that. But it's definitely got to feel right. If you're paying $5,000 to $8,000 for your photographer and your DJ is $500, you need to just maybe take a step back and say, hey, am I thinking about this right? Does it feel right?
It's just that it's got to be. You got to look for like the alarms, you got to look and like what word am I thinking of? Like that trouble signal. Like you have to see like something's not right. Like you definitely have to look and really do your research. I tell every single client that comes in to shop around, like, go look, go talk to other people, like, and then those are the best clients you have. Then they come back to you, and they're like, you were right about everything. Thank you for being truthful for me. And then you got the best relationships. But that $500 guy, call it that price. Everyone knows it doesn't cost that for a wedding DJ with any worth. That's scary as hell. Imagine you don't know any better. That's why doing stuff like this, which thanks for having us on, guys, it's awesome. I think it's great for the clients.
Yeah, and another point I would put on top of that is, like, if the guy offers like a Groupon, or like hey, if you book me right now, my price is X, but if you book right now, I'll give you uplights, photo booth, sparks, moving heads, CO2 for free. I would say that's a huge red flag too, because those type of sales tactics, while they appear like they feel really good, because it feels and appears like you're getting a deal as a client, that's just like red flag all day, because everyone knows that if you're booking with a real client, if you're booking with like a real DJ company, there's real life shit like insurance and overhead, and you got to pay your guys, and car insurance and branding and marketing and all this other stuff that goes into running a business. So someone that can give away the house for free, I would say that's definitely like a red flag for sure.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like we're in the service industry. You don't sit down at a restaurant and start negotiating prices on the menu. Like, the price is the price. You're not going to haggle. Like,
that's it. That's in a nutshell. Yeah.
And as far as budget goes, I've talked to some wedding planners and other vendors and on my podcast, and we realized that a lot of clients do things backwards. They figure out they try to figure out their budget by number of guests, when they should really create their budget, pick the vendors they want to work with and the venue, then figure out the number of guests. Get the right people there first, and maybe you don't invite 20 of your mom's friends. That's $10,000.
Yep.
Well, so I didn't know you had a podcast. Shout it out real quick, Jen. What's your podcast?
JV Pro Live Radio. We just interview other vendors like florists, videographers, photographers. It's like Without Further Ado, it's called. So it's just a fun little 20-minute podcast we do every couple weeks.
Nice. I love that, man. I think that's cool and super relevant.
We just try to get perspectives from everybody. So we even bring in Mater D's too. We did one with Ryan at the mill, brought him in, gave us some good perspective of, like, if you're a vendor working at his place, like, here's the do's and don'ts. So the whole podcast is about do's and don'ts for everybody: wedding guests, vendors, photo, video guys. Like, we learned stuff from photographers, like, don't step in front of my shot during toasts, stupid stuff like that.
Right. No, that's cool. So make sure you check out the JV Pro Live podcast. Jan, it'll be up on your Instagram. We're going to put all the details to your guys' stuff, in the links in the bio, so everyone can check it out and follow up. Anyone that's logged in right now on the Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, drop a comment or a question in there if you have anything for these guys before we kind of close out this episode.
Yeah.
But while we're waiting for those to come in, Scoops, talk to me about your run at DJs, man.
And real quick, we're trying not to get any we're not going to really answer any personal questions in the comments. So if you have questions about venues, photographers, we'll talk about that. We're not going to talk about questions about specific people's weddings or anything like that.
Yeah, and Suber's, he's married happily, so don't worry about him. For all the people asking if he's single, he's married to the game.
Yeah, kid.
Talk about DJs real quick.
DJs is shout out to Bonsal, the whole DJs fam. But we have a blast over there. I mean, you guys know. Was this your first summer there, right? Or second?
Well, I've been going to DJ since I'm 21. So.
Oh, no, I mean, you guys coming in for Sundays.
Oh yeah,
there,
being a part of the team and really.
I've actually, this will be my 5th summer already. Real quick, sneaky 5 summers.
Legend.
It's so much fun, man. Just great staff, just run the right way. You know, everyone takes. You know, it's like a family over there. You know, everyone's very tight.
Yeah.
It's one of the best places to work. I mean, you gonna play a better room than that? I don't know many.
No, that's awesome, man. And I'll tell you this: like, if you guys don't know Scooby-Doo, DJ Scooby Doobs on the Gramsci. Yo, can you put up their Instagrams?
Maybe.
So I'll tell you this:
drop the C. You keep pronouncing it Scooby. It's Subi.
Scooby Doos.
Yeah. My last name's
Doobs.
So.
Yeah, like I said, I'm going to put it in the description. You can click the link. I'll tell you this, man. Like, and just being at DJs and seeing a lot of different guys play at venues all over the country. When you step on the set, man, the energy is real. So I got to give a shout out, and I would say that translates, I'm sure, 100% to your vibe when you're DJing a private event.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. We talked about this too. The kind of energy you bring on your Fridays at Porta is just, and we talk about, like, you don't have to reinvent the wheel at the shore, really. Yep. You're supposed to do what works. You're there for the people. It's not about you as much. I see guys come in places and try to do something that's just not what really works there. Everyone should definitely be creative and be their own, but that conversation we had not that long ago when I visited you, Bri, over Porta, we were saying that. You just gotta, what works, and when you got it, you got it. You gotta feel the room, and you've done a great job over there. Fridays, man, you're in a hell of a run. You got to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, I've been the resident DJ at Porta for 8 years. I was one of the original resident DJs there. Shout out to my man Adam Worth. I could go down the list. There's hundreds of people I could shout out, but Adam was the original Porta DJ. Me and him ran that show for a long time, and then I'm fortunate to still be there on Fridays and looking forward to picking it back up in the summer once everything gets back to normal here. But back to your point about like not reinventing the wheel. The hits are the hits. Like, let's face it. If 1,000, I'm gonna just generalize here. If 1,000 songs come out a year, and if 10 of them stick, that's like really good. Like we always joke about like levels and booyah and calling and all that classic EDM 2012 stuff. But I'll tell you this, that music is like generationally fixed for a really long time. Like, so if you don't like, some people may or may not like it, like that's what it is, but it's like levels is like the journey to for our parents. So like that 80s music that continues to like still get played in the club today, by the way, for 21-year-olds. But like that EDM from that 2012, 13, 14, 15 year, I mean, it's like, that's what's getting played at weddings now. Like, that's the new kind of sing-along shit. I mean, are you guys seeing that, Jan and Ryan?
Oh, yeah. And there's so many good remixes where, and mashups that are out now where you can blend, like, vocals from the 80s with EDM from 2012, which we see a lot of. Like, when I first started doing weddings, probably 2012, I was, like, scared to play EDM. It was, like, taboo. I'm like, I don't know if I can play this, so I'd like save it to the end, and like I get a pretty good reaction. But then like more and more, we're almost like getting hired because we're like the high energy, like house music kind of wedding company now. For better or worse, it's just kind of the vibe we bring now. It's just like I play the craziest shit at weddings now. Like it's unbelievable. It's like a ultra music festival sometimes for like an hour straight.
I love that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. One of the things that I don't do as many weddings as Brian does, but when I do weddings, I typically only do ones that the lead came through someone who saw me out at one of the nightlife venues that I play at. And I'm sure, like, Ryan, you've probably gotten some from, like, DJs. So can you talk about how those weddings are different than the ones that, you know, you might just get a random lead because so-and-so's cousin's uncle knew you?
Or like like the knot, where they're like, "Oh, I saw you on the knot," and you're like, "Great." Me and everyone else that has 5 stars, it, like, doesn't even matter.
Yeah. Listen, I have friends like, you get your friend's wedding that's like that they love DJs, they love JRs, they love bombs, any of these places I play, and they've been coming forever. They, right, like Chris, like you're saying, like, they're ready to go. That what they want.
Yeah.
And sometimes I actually have to talk my friends off the ledge and say, I need to play some wedding music for your grandparents and make them not feel disrespected for the first 20 minutes. Like, we can drop bombs in 20 minutes, but you gotta relax. You gotta let them get their time. So it's those are the best ones, obviously. I mean, we have so many every year now, and the high energy music is in. So
Yeah,
Don't forget
no.
JRs. Oh my God.
what?
JRs. How many weddings have you gotten from there?
JRs, hundreds and hundreds. Shout out to Kevin Stewart, Brian Stewart, my JRs fan. I mean,
Do they have teeth?
Kenny works with me, our one of our partners and MCs there. We both book weddings. What'd you say? Raz, I didn't hear you. I just saw you laugh.
Nope, I didn't say anything. No,
Yeah,
that's cool. And listen, I get the same thing all the time where nothing feels better than people are like, "We're booking DJ Za for Za." Like, I met my partner at Porta when we were in college, and now we're getting married, and we want you to do your wedding, and the music is just do your thing. I don't think there's anything better than that.
Yeah.
A feeling where people sought you out for your style. That feels really, really good. Chris and I did a sick wedding up at the Sterling Tavern or Sterling Gardens. What is it? No,
I don't know.
I can't remember. It was up north and it was sick. But like, they booked Chris because they saw him at a venue.
At here, Teak, where we're sitting
Oh
right
yeah,
now.
it was at Teak. They saw Chris at Teak and they're like, "Yo, we need this guy for the wedding," and we're lucky to land it in the bag and get it. But Chris got to like rip a dance set for like an hour and a half, and he didn't have a request sheet. It was like Chris Lead doing Chris Lead. So that's cool, man.
Fun,
But
Yeah, those are the most fun. Those are the ones I truly enjoy doing, and that's why I kind of limit myself so much. But that's what I like to do. So
that's fucking awesome. All right, so we're gonna do one more roundtable. I want each of us, starting with Ryan, to give one tip to a client to be a better client. So if you are someone that's shopping around for wedding DJ entertainment, we're each gonna give one tip to be a better client, to be better on the other side of the table, on the other side of the phone, to write that email just a little bit better. So Ryan, go first, and then Jan, you go next.
I just want every client to know, please do not be scared to call me and ask questions. We're here to work with you. We're not scary guys. We're the friendly guys. Just call me. Shoot me the text. Instead of worrying about something and then maybe forgetting it down the road, just don't reach out. We're here to work with you. I can't say it enough people just they're like, I talked to him last week. Call me again. Call me 5 times this week. I'll get back to you as soon as I can with your answer. You just can't be scared to communicate.
Respect.
yeah, no, those are good. That's a good point to make because I feel like a lot of people get scared to reach out. And sometimes we get busy and we don't get back to people right away. And I just tell people, like, it's not personal. If I didn't get back to you, just keep bothering me. And I'll eventually get back to you. It's just
Is that your tip?
Sometimes it's just not the right time.
Is that your tip? Is that your tip?
Yeah. Like, don't text me before noon and expect a response back, like, ever, because chances are I read it half asleep and like I'll forget when I actually wake up to respond to you.
All right, that's Chris Lead's tip. We work really late, so if you're calling us at 8:00 in the morning on a Saturday, I'm either at a gig or sleeping.
Yes.
All right, Jane, go. What's your tip?
Don't wait till last minute to, finalize your details. So a lot of clients think that they can do finals for some reason on like Thursday, the week of their wedding. So, follow the guidance that we've given you beforehand and the emails we're sending you. to do your finals 30 days out. It's good to do 2 finals calls, pre-finals and then finals. So the pre-finals gives you your punch list, all your homework you need to do, what's outstanding on your program and things you need to figure out. And then the finals is just dotting those I's, crossing those T's, and just going over things one more time. And, you want to be doing that at least a week out, 2 weeks out. So
I like that. That's solid advice. So I'll close it out here. Here's my advice to anyone that's looking to book. If you're a bride or a groom, and it's either on the phone, Skype, or in person, do not bring your mother or your mother-in-law to the sales meeting. Okay? It's your wedding.
Yeah.
They are going to have influence no matter what at any part of the process. But I'll tell you this, it's really about you, the client, matching up with a company and people that fit your vibe. And I'll leave that up to you guys to figure out whatever your vibe is. But I'll tell you, injecting someone like a powerful personality, like your mother-in-law or your mother, love mom, she's great, but she's probably not going to help the situation when it comes to you figuring out who's right for your party. So
Yeah.
that would be my my one tip on how to be a better client. But listen, boys, thank you so much, Jan, Ryan, Scooby Doo's, Giacomo Beats, 2 great dudes from Asbury Park, JB Pro Live, awesome wedding company, awesome dudes. Thanks for chopping it up with us here on Parlor Talk, episode 23. And, anyone that's on the feeds right now, if you're on the Facebook or you're on the YouTube or on the Twitch, go subscribe to our YouTube channel. I don't have it here, but we're giving away some free DQ's marinade and barbecue sauce. So as soon as we hit 100 subs, we're going to pick one of the subscribers to get that free care package. So make sure you guys go subscribe to our YouTube. That would be the best way to support us. But once again, shout out to you guys. Thank you so much, JB Pro Live, tuning in today. We appreciate you guys. Everyone be safe, man. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for having us, fellas. Great to see you. Hopefully I'll be seeing you in person sooner than
That's
later.
it. Grails, baby. Let's go.
Let's go.
Thanks, guys.
See you west.
Be good, boys. See ya.